If you've ever had pain in your back or in your neck or between your shoulder blades, then you may have already experienced a muscle knot before. The name muscle knot makes it sound like the muscle's twisted or kinked, but that's not exactly the case. So to find out exactly what a muscle knot is, and more importantly, how to get rid of a muscle knot, stay tuned because we're about to get into it right now. Well, welcome back to another episode of Physio Tips with Marrow. I'm your host, Marrow. For those of you that don't know me, I'm a board-certified orthopedic specialist in physical therapy and the owner of Australian Physiotherapy Specialist Physical Therapy Center located in Jacksonville, Florida. For today's video, we're going to tackle the topic of muscle knots. Most of us have experienced this in the past. You get that maybe silver dollar pain in your upper trap or upper shoulder. Maybe it's in your neck and you just feel knotted and kinked up. Real common, you might feel this in between your shoulder blades. Most of us at one point or another, especially if maybe you played sports, we've experienced muscle knots before. One thing for sure, muscle knots can be painful. They can linger for days, weeks, or months, and they can definitely hinder our daily activities. So let's tackle our first question. What are muscle knots? A muscle knot is a painful or tender spot in a muscle. It's tight, it's sore. Oftentimes this may happen in the upper traps, the neck, between your shoulder blade, even your legs. In some cases, rare, there might even be a sign of a chronic painful condition. A classic sign of a muscle knot that you may have experienced would be where your upper trap feels very tight and it's almost elevated. You look in the mirror and you notice one shoulder's a little bit higher than the other. That is a classic muscle knot. Let's look at question number 2. What causes muscle knots? A muscle knot usually happens because a muscle has been irritated by repetitive motion. Athletes may experience this if they're training the same muscle over and over and over without taking breaks. You may also experience muscle knots if you're sitting in the same spot for too long without taking breaks. Staying in that same awkward posture for long periods of time can definitely knot up your muscles. Examples would be sitting at your desk at work too long without taking breaks, or a long car ride without getting out and moving around a little bit. So there's a good idea of maybe what is a muscle knot, what causes a muscle knot. That takes us to the most important question. Question number 3. How do I get rid of muscle knots? So what remedies are there to give us some relief from muscle knots? There is the famous massage your own back with the cool bendy stick. There's the rub your back with the 2 balls against the wall trick. Then there's the super popular couples massage. Finally, there's the expensive professional bearded guy who might stretch you into submission. Although all of these methods are popular and could be helpful, usually they only bring short-term relief. So we're going to look at 7 really good exercises that not only give you short-term relief, but give you long-term relief. Exercise number 1, posture correction exercise. For our first exercise, we're going to look at a posture correction exercise. This is very crucial when we're starting to think of muscle knots in a prevention mindset. If we start to sit with better postures, we're going to get out of those awkward positions that cause muscle knots to begin with. So let's look at a great exercise that you can do frequently during your workday. The first thing that we want to think about is our sitting posture. If we think about our pelvis, if I'm all the way back on my butt bones, it's going to poke my chin forward, and that's going to cause awkward tension. So the first thing that you want to do is grow tall through the lower back, and so you're more neutral. You're not all the way jacked in extension, but you're definitely not slumped. Grow tall until you feel a halfway point. Then what we want to do is get your chin nice and neutral. If your chin is up, you could think about elongating the back of your neck gently until it brings your chin into a neutral posture. Finally, what we're going to do is I'm going to drop my shoulder blades and very gently move my shoulder blades across my back towards the center of my spine. This is a very gentle motion. Let's take a look at a different angle. My shoulders are tight. I find my neutral back. I get my chin neutral. Drop my shoulders, gently move them back across my back towards the center of my spine. Relax my upper traps, and I hold this for about 10 seconds. So, maybe every 15 minutes while you're at your workstation, or maybe you're at home watching TV if you're retired, you find that tall posture, you think about elongating the back of your neck, get your chin neutral, relax your shoulders, gently draw them back. This is a very gentle effort. We're not squeezing back as hard as we can. I've seen that in a million YouTube videos. For my patients, 9 out of 10 times, that's probably going to make you feel worse instead of better. It's a gentle relocation. Let your shoulders drop, gently relocate them back onto your chest wall, and then relax your shoulders and hold it for 10 seconds. A great exercise. 3 to 4 times an hour, every 15 minutes or so, give it a try. Remember, it's very important to change positions frequently. We can't say that enough. If you've been sitting for 30 or 45 minutes, get out of your seat, get up, get into a good tall posture. Think about elongating the back of the neck until your chin is neutral, and just walk around for a few minutes. Getting up and moving frequently is a great way to stop muscle knots. Exercise number 2, forward and backward bending. For exercise number 2, we're going to do a really nice range of motion exercise that's going to loosen up your muscles of your neck and make your joints feel a little bit better. Kind of goes like this. We start neutral, like we practiced on exercise 1. I go up, nice and easy, go to the point of comfort, and then I come back down. Once I come back down, I then gently forward bend as far as I can comfortably, and then I come back up. Pause for a second, and then I go back into extension again. And then carefully back down, and then back, chin going towards my chest. It's important when I go up that I don't poke my chin out when I come back down. That could be awkward and uncomfortable. Just carefully bring it back down. This exercise can easily be done 10 times, and you could repeat this exercise twice a day. A great exercise to improve your range of motion, improve the strength of your spine, and prevent muscle knots. Exercise number 3, cervical rotation. For exercise number 3, we're going to do a neck rotation exercise. We look to the left, and then you rotate to the left as far as you can comfortably, and then you come back to the center. Look to the right, rotate to the right as far as you can comfortably, and then back to the center. You might feel a stretch as you're rotating, but it never should be painful. Maybe a little bit of a stretch, maybe some tightness, but it never should really be thought of as that's really painful. If it's painful, then maybe you've rotated too far. Or maybe this isn't the right exercise yet. But look to the left, turn to the right, and then come back. Look to the right, turn to the right, just feel the stretch and come back. We would repeat this exercise 10 times, and this is another exercise that easily can be done a couple times a day. It's a great exercise to prevent joint tightness, to prevent muscle tightness, and ultimately to prevent muscle knots. Exercise number 4, cervical side bending. For exercise number 4, we're going to do a neck side bending exercise. You start to go ear to your shoulder as far as you can comfortably, feel the stretch, and come back to your starting position. Gently down, feel the stretch, and back. Like the previous exercise, you want to make sure that the stretch is comfortable. It may feel a little tight, but it should never feel painful. We do that 10 times, and then we're going to repeat that to the other side. Side bend, and then back. Ear goes down to your shoulder, and back. And like the other exercise, this can be done 10 reps each side and easily performed twice a day. Another great method to reduce stiffness in the joints, reduce muscle tightness, and reduce muscle knots. Exercise number 5, rotation, alternate position. For exercise number 5, we're going to show you another way that you can do that cervical rotation exercise in a different position. Sometimes the first position goes well, and sometimes if that's uncomfortable, we can try this alternative position. So let's take a look at this alternative position and see if maybe this one suits you better. For this alternate cervical rotation exercise, I'm going to get on maybe a hands and knees position. This could be on an area rug, a yoga mat, on your bed, whatever you think. And then I'm going to look to the left, turn to the left, look to the right, turn to the right, look to the left, turn to the left, look to the right, and turn to the right. I can easily do this 10 times to the right, 10 times to the left, and this could be a nice alternate exercise if the first exercise was uncomfortable. It's a great exercise to strengthen my neck, improve my range of motion, and decrease muscle knots. You can easily do this twice a day. Number 6, mobilization with movement into flexion. For our number 6 exercise, we're going to use a mobilization with movement technique invented by a very famous therapist from New Zealand. His name is Brian Mulligan. We've highlighted some of Mulligan's techniques on some of our previous videos. If you find that you have a tightness or knot in your upper traps, or maybe that silver dollar knot in your upper back, and coincidentally, you're very tight in flexion, one possible scenario could be tightness maybe in the middle to lower part of your neck, C4, C5. Classically, when that joint is pinched, it will cause a terrible tightness and knot in your upper shoulder. So here's a great little method that you can do to reduce that tightness at C5, C6. I take my hand, I make kind of a hole. I'm going to put my chin in that hole, and then I put this right against my chest. Once I put it against my chest, I'm going to grab the back of my head, and then I'm going to flex my head forward. I hold the stretch for maybe 6 to 8 seconds, and then I release. This can easily be done 3 to 6 times to give yourself some relief. When you're done, recheck flexing your head forward, and it should feel better. It should feel more flexible and less tight. More importantly, when you check your upper shoulder, you should feel that tight knot starting to reduce. So again, make a hole, your chin goes here, pull it down gently, hold that stretch for 6 to 8 seconds, and then you bring it back up. A great exercise to do. You can do this 2 or 3 times as needed during your day. Make sure it's comfortable, make sure it agrees with you. Any of these techniques, that's a very important detail. But give it a try. It's definitely worth putting in your routine. A lot of my patients have found great relief with this for getting rid of that knot in the shoulder. Exercise number 7, the archery exercise. For exercise number 7, we're going to look at a stretch called the archery exercise. It's a great stretch, the stretch in the muscles of your neck, as well as your thoracic or mid-back and your shoulders. Kind of goes like this. You point one of your hands straight out, you put the other hand out, and you imagine you're drawing back a bow while you're still looking straight. Then you come back out, and then you gently draw the other hand back. Come back out, and gently draw back. You'll feel the stretch between your shoulder blades and in your neck. By the time you've done 10 of these, you should feel looser, and you should feel less tightness and discomfort between your shoulder blades. So a great exercise to help prevent as well as treat pain in the neck and shoulder blades. Well, thanks for watching today's video on getting rid of muscle knots. I hope you enjoyed it. Drop me a comment. I'd love to know if some of the methods were helpful or not. Again, you can subscribe to our channel to receive more videos like this in the future. And liking our video helps us out, so we appreciate that as well. Well, we'll see you next time on Physio Tips with Marrow.